Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. We have a lot to cover today. President Trump issued a last warning to Hamas terrorists, demanding the release of hostages or hell to pay. We have the latest on the continued Israel war with Hamas. A resolution punishing Al Green cleared a Dem blockade and advanced to a House-wide vote after Representative Green tried to interrupt President Trump's speech. According to Congressional insiders, Elon Musk met with a small group of House Republicans after the president's speech the other night, where he discussed ideas for cost savings in an effort to find as much as $1 trillion in government waste. And House Speaker Mike Johnson's chief of staff arrested for DUI following Trump's speech to Congress. We have all the details, plus your phone calls, your comments, your emails. Joey at joeyhudson.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Trump issued a blistering warning to Hamas. And, folks, this is how you handle terrorists. No weakness, no apologies, no Obama-Biden-style appeasement, just cold, hard American power and an uncompromising stance on evil. So here's what you need to know. President Trump met with several former Hamas hostages this week, men and women whose lives were destroyed by this brutal terrorist organization. And what did he do? He issued a direct warning to Hamas saying, release the hostages now. He issued this direct warning to Hamas, saying, if you don't, it's going to be over for you. And when Trump says something like that, folks, you can bet he means it. You're not going to stare him down. You're not going to back him into a corner. And when Trump means to do something, he does it. He's sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. He's making it crystal clear. Hamas, time's up. You got to do something here. We want our people back. He declared not a single Hamas member will be safe, saying that because while the Biden administration groveled and begged, he's not going to do it. He's not going to beg them to return hostages. He talked about how they played footsie with Iran and sent pallets of cash to Middle Eastern terrorists. Well, Trump's laying down an ultimatum. He's making it clear if Hamas doesn't comply, as he said, there's going to be hell to pay. So let's talk about what's really happening here, because what Trump did in this message wasn't totally all about Hamas. He called out the entire Gaza population. He told them, you have a choice here. You either turn your back on Hamas, you do the right thing, or you're going to go down with them. And that's the only way this war ends. You can't negotiate with these monsters. You cannot find common ground with people who celebrate slaughtering children. You have to wipe them out, right? You have to take them off of the face of the earth, or they're going to come back. So guess what? Even Democrats seem to be getting on board. Senator John Fetterman, did you hear about this? Of all people, actually agreed with Trump. He said, free all the hostages or start killing Hamas members again. I fully agree with the POTUS. Now, when you've got a Democrat backing a Trump foreign policy move, you know that you're kind of in uncharted waters. But here's what you need to know. All right, so Trump's post came hours after the White House was challenged by Fox News senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy on its decision to negotiate with the Palestinian terrorist group. Doocy asked, if the U.S. has a long-standing policy that we do not negotiate with terrorists, then why is the U.S. now negotiating directly and for the first time ever with Hamas? Well, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responded, saying, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in these negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Leavitt added that Israel was consulted on the matter and that Trump believes in putting forth good faith efforts to do what's right for the American people and the Israeli people and the rest of the world. So let's kind of be clear here. Hamas is a terrorist organization, period. End of sentence. There's no debate, no gray area. These aren't freedom fighters. They're monsters. They deliberately target civilians. They use children as human shields. They set up camp in hospitals where sick people are and use them as a shield as well, hoping that their enemies will not attack the hospital. They commit atrocities that should make any decent person just sick at their stomach. And yet, what did Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do for 4 years? They let Iran send Hamas hundreds of millions of dollars through their insane foreign policy. Now, Trump is having to clean up the mess. But here's what's different. Trump isn't playing games. He isn't holding press conferences about the, quote, diplomatic solutions. He isn't sending John Kerry to Hamas to hold Hamas's hand and sing Kumbaya. No, what Donald Trump and a strong group of people that he has surrounded himself on his cabinet, they've let them know you have one chance: release the hostages or be destroyed. I hope, for Hamas's sake, not that I care for their well-being, but I hope they understand he means it, that the United States is serious about this. So here's what's coming next, I think. Israel is gearing up to finish this war. And with Trump in office, they now have the full backing of the United States, and we're going to give them what they need. No more lectures about proportional responses. No more nonsense about both sides. Trump is backing Israel 100%, and Hamas is about to find out what happens when you push America and its allies too far. All right, moving on to another topic here. Remember Al Green, the U.S. Representative Al Green, not the singer, the Democrat from Texas, who was shown the door during President Trump's speech the other night? A resolution to reprimand him survived a procedural hurdle late yesterday afternoon, teeing up the measure for a full House vote. Representative Dan Newhouse, he's a Republican from Washington, introduced a censure resolution against the Texas Democrat earlier in the session yesterday amid widespread GOP anger at Democrats who protested President Trump's address to Congress. They made themselves look like idiots completely, and he was the head idiot, waving his cane around at the president, jumping up and down, screaming and yelling till the speaker showed him the door. Democrats pushed for a vote to table the resolution, which would have effectively killed it, but it failed to pass, and a vote on the measure itself is expected sometime this week, maybe even today. There were media reports that Representative Newhouse had been in contact with House GOP leadership about his resolution since Trump's speech ended last Wednesday night. Tuesday night. I've lost track of my days. There's been multiple resolutions circulating among House Republicans to censure Green for interrupting Trump's speech, but Newhouse's appears to be the measure that's getting the most support. Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters, "I believe it's the first one out of the gate. I think Green's protest is unprecedented, certainly in the modern era. It wasn't an excited utterance. It was a, planned, prolonged protest." Green is 77 years old and was escorted out of the speech. He shouted, "You have no mandate," at Trump as he was promoting Republican victories in the House and the Senate. And, I don't know what Al Green was talking about. How can you say that Trump has no mandate when he won the Electoral College decidedly? Wasn't even close. He won the popular vote. Again, wasn't even close. So what this guy, what he's talking about, I have no idea. But he got to see what it's like to be escorted out of the U.S. House chambers by the sergeant at arms. He is remaining defiant, though. He stopped to speak with the White House press pool on the first floor of the Capitol as he was exiting, being thrown out of the chamber. He told the press pool, "I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment. But it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security." Well, see, that's just a bunch of baloney in itself, because there's no mention of cutting Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security benefits. Yes, there may be some cuts in those agencies because we don't need all of the employees, all of the federal bureaucracy that's there for the program. But President Trump has never once said, I'm going to cut Medicaid, I'm going to cut Medicare, I'm going to cut Social Security. In fact, he's proposing to not even tax Social Security. This is just another attempt by Democrats to try to drive a wedge between Trump and the American people, and it ain't going to work. Hi, Joey Hudson here. You know, this spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part, because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Boy, did stocks get hammered across the board as concerns about the impact of a trade war on the global economy created losses across the board. Short-term bonds, gold, even oil slumped. Is this temporary? Well, we'll see. From New York to London to Tokyo, equities fell, with the S&P 500 erasing its $3.4 trillion post-election rally. Let me just give you some advice here, and I'm not a financial advisor. Don't check your statement for your 401k today, okay? Give it a few days. Give it a week or more. Just let it rest. This all came after President Trump and the U.S. imposed the largest set of new tariffs in nearly a century, imposing levies on a broad list of goods from China, from Canada, Mexico, and, of course, this spurred quick, knee-jerk responses. The beginning of a trade war. It's increased worries about growth, how this will affect already high prices on most goods that you and I use on a daily basis, from the fuel that we put in our vehicles to the eggs that we try to buy at the grocery store. I always say that politics is like a high-stakes poker game. You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And right now, up north, in the frozen socialist wasteland of Canada, the Liberals are cashing in on a golden ticket courtesy of none other than our President, Donald J. Trump. That's right. Trump, the man who puts America first, is apparently the new bogeyman for our friends across the border. So let me set the stage here. For months, Canada's Conservative Party was absolutely steamrolling the weak, scandal-ridden, and economy-crushing Liberal Party of Canada. At one point, they were leading by a staggering 26 points. Trudeau was toast. The man had burned through every ounce of political goodwill, and Canadians were desperate for a change. And why wouldn't they be? Trudeau's policies, his carbon taxes, his woke agenda, his obsession with crushing free enterprise, it had turned Canada into a shell of what it once was. It was kind of what we saw leading up to the November 2024 elections here in the States, right? But then enter Donald Trump. He won and rides back into the Oval Office. The man makes a few bold statements, announces some tariffs, flexes America's economic muscles, and suddenly the Canadian media, the left-wing elites, and the liberal establishment, they turn the entire election into a referendum on who can stand up to the mean old Donald Trump. the bogeyman of America. Sound familiar? Kind of the Democrat Socialist Party here in the U.S., right? But in Canada, things are a bit different. And just like that, it appears numbers are starting to shift. The conservatives drop like a rock, just almost overnight. Liberals, once on life support, are somehow back in the lead. Now tell me, does that make any sense to you at all after they saw what happened here in America? So let me tell you what I think is really happening here. The Liberals aren't winning because they have a better vision for Canada. They aren't winning because Canadians suddenly love big government socialism. They're winning because of the Canadian media, just like we saw here in the U.S. Every bit as corrupt and biased as our own. They've successfully turned Trump into the villain of their election in Canada. They've changed the conversation from Trudeau's failures to the so-called threat of a strong, unapologetic America. And what does that tell you? It tells you that the left-wing politicians, no matter where they are, whether they're in the U.S., whether they're in Canada, they always will use fear, deception, and they'll try to manipulate the media to cling to their power. The question is, are the Canadians going to see what happened here, and are they going to keep the faith, and will the conservatives be able to win the day? And get this, Mark Carney, the so-called conservative on paper, is the front runner to take over for Trudeau. This is a guy who spent years running central banks, working for Goldman Sachs, and cozying up to the globalist elites. And yet somehow he's now being sold as a strong leader who can handle Trump. He can stand up to Trump. Carney's a liberal in a blue suit, plain and simple. Just take a look at him. Look at his past. And if Canadians fall for this charade, they may be in for another 4 years of economic stagnation and big government overreach, another 4 years of their version of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. So here's the truth. If the Canadian conservatives had stuck to their message, fighting inflation, cutting taxes, getting rid of Trudeau's crippling carbon tax, just upending the woke agenda of their government, they'd be in a much stronger position right now. But instead, they kind of got spooked. They got scared. They got distracted. They let the liberals dictate the narrative. They let the media dictate the narrative. And now they're playing defense. And when conservatives play defense against the left, they don't have a very good record of winning quite often. So here's my advice to conservatives in Canada. Not that they've asked me. No one from Canada has called and said, hey, what do you think we should do up here? But I'm going to offer it anyway. Stop apologizing. Stop playing nice. Stop letting the left control the conversation. Remind Canadians why they were ready to throw the liberals out in the first place, not too long ago. Take a page from Donald Trump's playbook. Be bold. Be unapologetic. Make it clear that Canada's future is stronger with free markets, with smaller government, and a real conservative leader, and that their friends to the South will be ready to work with them. Because if the Liberals win again in Canada, let's be honest, it's not going to be because of their ideas. It'll be because they ran a campaign of fear, a campaign of deception. And again, the media jumped right in and helped them out. And if you think Canada is struggling now, just wait until they get another 4 years of the same failed leadership. Just envision what would have happened had we re-elected or elected Kamala Harris for another 4 years of the Joe Biden agenda. That's what Canada is facing right now. So if you have any friends in Canada, have any relatives in Canada, you might want to encourage them to keep the faith. You might want to share with them the truth, because the left's not going to want them to hear this. The left is going to, and the woke in Canada is going to keep pushing them for 4 more years of the same, which is, you might say, well, what does that have to do with us? Well, we got to live with them. They're just across the border. We need to try to help our neighbors to the north understand the direction they should take. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. With the president's speech on Tuesday and all the other things that have really taken up this week, I mean, it's been a busy week. We saw Elon Musk in the House chamber the other night for the president's speech. He even wore a tie. He dressed up. Were you impressed that Elon Musk had on a coat and tie? I was. Good for him, though. We're told that he met with a select group of House Republicans after the speech the other night, in an effort, of course, to continue his effort to with the ultimate goal of identifying up to $1 trillion in unnecessary spending. The meeting, attended by lawmakers, members of the House DOGE subcommittee, was described by sources as an in-depth conversation on inefficiencies within the federal government. According to one lawmaker present, Musk and his team are confident that they'll be able to help uncover significant government waste in addition to what they've already uncovered. The lawmaker said the executive DOGE team is confident they think they can get $1 trillion. Now, we'll see, right? And the thing is, he acknowledged that we're going to make mistakes, but we're going to correct them very quickly, this lawmaker said. Concerns were raised during the meeting about whether federal agencies like the Treasury Department have the necessary infrastructure to implement Musk's proposed cost-cutting strategies effectively. We're told that Musk reportedly assured lawmakers that his team would provide assistance where needed to ensure implementation. Now, think about that for a minute. This guy is going to use his team, and I would assume when he says that, that he's paying them to make our country better. Musk reportedly highlighted some specific areas where he believes government efficiency can be improved, such as auditing outdated or inaccurate records. One example cited was an effort to ensure that individuals who have passed away are properly removed from federal benefit programs like Social Security, where taxpayer dollars may still be allocated to deceased individuals. Representative Michael Cloud from Texas, who's a member of the DOGE subcommittee, described the issue as a lack of coordination among federal databases. He said a lot of this cross-referencing databases, making sure that they're talking to each other and making sure we have the most up-to-date information, which makes sense, doesn't it? And that's classic federal bureaucracy. One arm doesn't talk to the other, period. I mean, we've seen it happen over and over. Additionally, some lawmakers suggested that a congressional rescissions package as another potential avenue for reducing unnecessary spending. Rescissions authority allows Congress to cancel planned government expenditures, providing a way to address excessive spending without requiring a full legislative overhaul. This is significant because it's one of the few budgetary measures that can pass the Senate with a simple 51-vote majority, bypassing the usual 60-vote threshold. And we can do 51 votes. We can get 51. Musk met with the House DOGE subcommittee led by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for approximately 45 minutes before addressing the broader House GOP conference, according to the report. Ms. Greene confirmed the meeting but did not elaborate on specific discussions regarding congressional spending authority. Greene told reporters, "We had a very lengthy meeting, just my DOGE committee with Elon Musk and his team, and learned a lot of valuable information. The collaboration is going to be fantastic, and it needs to happen," she said. Sources also confirmed that Musk's advisor, Steve Davis, was present during both the smaller subcommittee discussion and the larger meeting with House Republicans. And, I just love to see this happening. I love to see, one of the criticisms has been that things have been happening so quickly, and the Democrats, of course, are criticizing Musk, saying that he's just a loose cannon, that we've given him too much leeway, that he's doing stuff without getting approval. Well, this is good. He's meeting with members of the GOP in the House, so that everybody's on the same page here. Following his session with the DOGE subcommittee, Musk addressed the full House GOP conference. They said he spoke for about 15 minutes before taking questions from lawmakers. Representative Brandon Gill from Texas noted that the discussion provided what he said was a deeper understanding of what Elon Musk's goals are and how they align with congressional efforts to address wasteful spending. Representative Mike Herodopoulos from Florida noted that Musk's presentation underscored this systematic lack of accountability in government spending that we've all known has been there. He was quoted as saying, systematically, there were no checks in order to make sure the taxpayers' dollars were spent correctly. We had all these programs, when they're yelling and screaming and whining that, Trump's cutting these programs. They're cutting necessary programs. They're finding programs. If you've read about some of these, they're finding programs that were started a decade, 2 decades ago that were supposed to have a sunset, and they've just kept funding them because nobody's kept up with them. And these agencies sure didn't wave their hand and said, Mr. Congressman, we were supposed to, our funding was supposed to end 10 years ago. Nobody's going to volunteer that. Representative Dan Muser reacted with what some described as a mix of amusement and frustration, saying it made me laugh and it made me sick all at the same time. The level of waste and what they're finding is mind-blowing. Ralph Norman, one of my favorite congressmen from South Carolina, echoed the sentiment that Musk's initiative was just beginning. He said, he just says, I'm investigating and finding things that you really can't argue with. He said he's making mistakes. He'll correct them. But his mission is to uncover where our tax money is, let the chips fall where they may. Elon Musk is looking in areas that nobody has bothered to look in a long time. Some House Republicans have faced some pushback in their districts because, again, some of this information has just gotten blown out of proportion. Some of the reps that said that they're getting pushback with Musk's involvement in government oversight. Representative Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin was said to have raised concerns in this closed-door meeting about the impact on veterans and farmers. He was quoted as saying, I spoke to Elon specifically about this. There are our veterans and our farmers, so there's a lot of angst going on right now because people don't understand what's going on. He emphasized that Musk was receptive to these concerns and reassured lawmakers that benefits for veterans would not be negatively affected. Let me repeat that. Musk assured them that benefits for veterans will not be affected. He also said the same thing for farmers. So all of these Democrats who are running around flailing, flapping their arms about, we're going to cut services for veterans. We're going to cut out benefits for farmers. We're not going to be there for them. It's all a bunch of hogwash. It's this rhetoric that Democrats, it's right out of their playbook. Create fear because they don't want Musk uncovering some of the things that he's uncovering because they've been supporting this for years now. I mean, some of the waste is just crazy. For example, let me give you a few examples here of things that were just posted yesterday on the Department of Government Efficiency's X account. HUD completed an audit on software, for example. Initial findings on paid software licenses, okay? 35,855 ServiceNow licenses. I don't know what that is, but it's some type of software evidently HUD uses. 35,855 licenses on 3 products, only using 84 of those licenses. 11,020 Acrobat licenses with nobody using Acrobat. So they're paying for over 11,000 pieces of software that nobody uses. 1,776 Cognos licenses. Again, I don't know what that is. Some software that HUD uses. Only 325 being used. 800 Westlaw Classic licenses. Now, Westlaw is an online law research service. Only 216 of the 18 being used. 10,000 Java licenses. Again, this is software. Only using 400 out of 10,000. And we wonder why we have trillions of dollars in deficits. And this is just an example of something that's been going on and on and on, and nobody cares. None of these bureaucrats care. Like some other examples for like GSA. with 13,000 employees. They have 37,000 WinZip licenses. Now, WinZip is software that unzips files that have been compressed. 37,000 licenses for 13,000 employees. Who does that kind of stuff? Our federal government, and Elon Musk is going to stop it. I mean, this stuff, you really can't make it up. 19,000 training software subscriptions and multiple parallel training software platforms. Again, they have 13,000 employees. 7,500 project management software seats for a division with 5,500 employees. So they got 2,000 more than they need. 3 different ticketing systems running at the same time. Again, I mean, it's just amazing when you see this. I've seen and I've heard members of Congress shaking their head thinking, well, how does this happen? Well, it happens because maybe you haven't been doing your job either. Maybe you need to be asking some harder questions. We need to be questioning our GOP representatives too, because let's remember, some of them have been in Congress for decades, and this has been happening. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. All right, I got a little worked up there. I mean, when I read that there's 13,000 employees in an agency and some idiot has allowed 37,000 software licenses to be paid for, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking, how does that happen? That'll get your blood boiling, won't it? So let's change the topic here. Let's go back to this wonderful story of DJ Daniel. Have you seen the photos of this young man? This is the 13-year-old brain cancer survivor that we talked about yesterday. He was at the president's speech Tuesday night. The president honored him, made him an honorary member of the Secret Service. This young kid wants to be a police officer. He was wearing a police uniform that night. Well, things got better because he got to go into the Oval Office and meet with President Trump yesterday. They shared another one of those special moments. This kid, if you watch the video, if you have it, you should find it. He walked in. He was there in the Oval Office with the president, and he's 13 years old, and his response was to go over behind the desk and give the president a hug. It's just a special moment. And hey, look, he's the newest member of the United States Secret Service, and his family was there with him as well. I mean, what a special thing. Daniel told the president, "There's one more thing I got for you, a big hug," as he went around and gave the president a hug. And Trump loved it. Trump hugged him back. He just embraced him, saying that's very nice. He was wearing his Houston Police Department uniform when he was in the House chamber the other night. Trump said of the Daniel clan who accompanied DJ into the Oval Office, he said, "What a good-looking family." His father, Theodis, and 2 young girls, I guess his sisters, I guess were there with him. Trump said, that was a big evening last night, and it was. I mean, think about what this family has experienced. They'll never forget it. This young man will never forget having the president of the United States calling him out in a major speech and then having him in the Oval Office the next day. I mean, this kid is just a miracle. Doctors had given him 5 months at the most to live in 2018. That's more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true. And boy, President Trump added a big part of that, making him an honorary member of the U.S. Secret Service. Speaking of the police, Capitol Hill police arrested House Speaker Mike Johnson's chief of staff after the president's speech the other night for allegedly driving under the influence. His name is Hayden Haynes. He's worked with Speaker Johnson, who's from Louisiana, for nearly a decade, according to reports, and he was taken into custody about 45 minutes after President Trump's speech to the joint session of Congress. Capitol Police said in a statement, a driver backed into a parked vehicle last night around 11:40 p.m. We responded and arrested them for DUI. The law enforcement agency confirmed that it was Haynes who they had arrested. His arrest was first reported by NBC News. A spokesperson for Speaker Johnson indicated that the House Speaker, who sat directly behind Trump during the speech this week, has, quote, confidence in Haynes despite the incident. Taylor Halsey said in a statement, the Speaker is aware of the encounter that occurred involving his chief of staff and the Capitol Police. The Speaker has known and worked closely with Hayden for nearly a decade and trusted him to serve as his chief of staff for his entire tenure in Congress. Because of this and Hayden's esteemed reputation among members and staff alike, the Speaker has full faith and confidence in Hayden's ability to lead the Speaker's office. Johnson expressed his support for his chief of staff when asked by reporters after this news had broke. The House Speaker told NBC News when asked if he continued to support him, he said, I am. I've worked with him. He's trusted and respected, and he has my full faith and confidence. That's a tough night, though. Tough night. Texter, let's see. I ran out of time yesterday and wasn't able to get any of your text. So I'm going to make some up. Try to make it up. I can't get through all of them, but thank you for those of you who text me. Please keep them coming. I read them all. I can't always respond, and I can't always read them on the air, but I do read them. So thank you. Thank you for the emails as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com is how you can email me. Ginger says, I guess the voters in Texas keep electing Al Green because they think they're getting the great soul singer, not the guy waving the cane around. Ginger, we can only hope. I think they know exactly who they're voting for. A says, I watched most of the president's speech this week, but the hate rhetoric of the left irritated me to the point of changing the channel. Those people don't seem human. President Trump is a good man. He puts up with a lot of junk more than any other president before him. Have a great day, Joey. Thank you, Ace. And you're right. He does put up with a lot of stuff. A lot of you commenting on the president's speech, and sorry I didn't get to them yesterday. Christy says, best Trump speech to date. I love that he offered the Democrats the olive branch early, but then ended up later calling them the lunatics that they are. If the American people can't see how corrupt and crooked they are after the fiasco last night, they will never be able to see it. How can you not applaud and celebrate a young man who is surviving cancer and wants to be in law enforcement? Cold, heartless, and bitter people just sat there, not even acknowledging this young man. Pathetic. It is pathetic, Christy, and there's no excuse for it. That was a very low, even for Democrats, and they're getting pushback on it. They're hearing this. Even some of the Democrats within the party are saying, hey, that was a big miscue on your behalf. Sitting there on your hands, not acknowledging this 13-year-old cancer survivor when the president is calling him out, acknowledging this young man. That's cold. That's bad. I don't care. You can hate Donald Trump all you want to, but to not recognize this young man on a special night. Pete says, hey, Joey, regarding your comments regarding Representative Green, yes, it's an embarrassment for the people of the district for their rep to act out. How does he get reelected? Ask the fine people of South Carolina's 2nd District why they keep reelecting Joe Wilson. He was the first person I can recall to act out during a presidential address. The, quote, adults in the room have just made it worse. Well, Pete, you're right. You make a good point. Joe Wilson did apologize, though, when he yelled out, you lie. Faye says, I feel the Dems were in attendance Tuesday night just to be a thorn for Trump. The females wearing the pink were totally tacky. Saw old Nancy there in pink. What a joke. Really enjoyed Green being shown the door. Women in our country need to understand 45 Dems voted to allow men to play in female sports. What will they do next, ladies? Good point, Faye. And I don't get that. How can any woman who marches for a woman's right to have an abortion, which every one of those women you saw in pink the other night do, so they think that it's a woman's right to have an abortion, but it's not a woman's right to not have men participating in their sports. Now, explain that one to me. Somebody reconcile that lunacy. I'd love to get your comments. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.